Belligerent Brown Boys.
Back in the house.
Oh my gosh, episode 7.
Let's do this.
We're back. After a brief hiatus, we took a little week off there, had some stuff to do. But the Belligerence is back. And I'm glad it's back, man. I actually felt really bored last week not having to do it.
Yeah, I felt like we were gone quite a while. I had like a lot going on, a lot going on in the world. So it's always hard to miss a week. But like you said, we had some stuff going on. So it's nice to be back.
Yeah. And while we're gone, the flipping country decides to burn down all its forests, and we're dealing with all this smoke. Have you seen the air today?
Yeah. Last night is when I really noticed it. And then today you were just showing me that.
Yeah, today was, so I guess Toronto was listed as the worst air quality in the world.
We started at 6th, and gradually throughout the day, we ended up number 1.
Yeah.
Winning.
Yes. So I was in the city today and for work. Like it was actually in the buildings. Like you couldn't really escape it. You could go inside, you could still feel it, you could taste it in your mouth.
I was gonna say it because I don't know if it was a psychological thing, but I was smelling it.
Yeah, no, it was so strong today. I heard up here this morning it was really bad. The city during the late afternoon hours, it was like a smog. Like it was just a cloud of smog everywhere.
It's gnarly, man. Because if our quality is topping like New Delhi, Bombay, Beijing,
that's
Hong
where it
Kong,
puts it into perspective, right?
But to also think to that point, these cities have been dealing with this for like the last 30, 40 years. This is their air every day.
Yeah, that's mind blowing.
Right?
Like we've had it for a couple days, and it's like, whoa, like this is what we're breathing in, and they deal with this on a regular basis. Like this is their normal.
All the time, man. Because you remember like when you take your first trip to India, if you remember it, and you get off the plane, and as soon as that door of the plane opens, it just punches you in the face, and you're just like, what the hell am I getting myself into?
I kind of actually felt like that when I even went to Thailand, like just that part of the world, in South Asia, just in general,
Yeah. I think like any kind of tropic region, but the one that has like the smog problems. Because when you go into like Central America or like the Caribbean or whatever, it's a different kind of punch in the face.
We stopped in Beijing, and I think in Beijing, I do remember it was pretty bad, the air quality. But yeah, it's something. Like it's not something we ever, you don't ever think that we had deal with. So, there was like a little bit of a storm yet last night, and the winds apparently just brought it in, and they're looking like it's going to be a couple days. Yeah,
man. And then when you see like, I don't know if you guys see it in the morning, but like the red sun.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like something out of a movie. It's like something out of Star Wars. Like when Luke's staring at the horizon.
I was thinking Superman, like
or Superman too. Yeah. Like it's crazy, man. And then I was looking at this map of the smoke from like I think the Quebec fires specifically. Mm-hmm. They're reaching Portugal.
Yeah.
Like the smokes.
That's crazy. Like for it to go from Canada all the way, like it's going through all the states.
Yeah.
I think it's similar to just like jet streams in the ocean, right? Like you have the same thing with the air currents, right?
Yeah.
So if, these things, like the way the earth is rotating and it catches a certain direction, like these things go, like you get global impact.
So is there any way that, is there any news on them stopping? Or is it like just too out of control at this point?
I mean, they're doing what they can, but there's really nothing you can do. Just hope for the sky to open up and just rain to fall.
Yeah.
Right? Because these things happen every year, but this year they set some sort of record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
like
been
number of
particularly
fires.
bad this year. And I think, Jags, you hit the nose. They're just managing it, looks like now. Last I checked this morning, there was like over 400 fires. So I don't know how they cut these into regions or how they even count that it's 400 fires, but that's what I saw last. So I think it's just at this time they're just managing it.
Yeah, and here in Ontario they've completely banned like campfires for like camping sites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, like if you're going camping, you can't even do like bonfires or whatever.
Yeah, it's been like that for quite a few years. Even before COVID, when we would go up cottaging, at least in the summer, I've been noticing that for at least 4 or 5 years now. You know, it's strictly prohibited now.
Really, it's been that long?
Yeah. I
thought it was
can
just...
think back to like 2019, 2018. We went up, and they had signs up.
Why?
Maybe they're not, and they weren't enforcing it as much as they are now. But they definitely had the signs up of even pre-COVID.
Okay, that's I didn't know that. I thought this was just a recent thing because of like how out of control it is right now.
No, it's probably, this is particularly bad, but I think it's been an issue for a few years now.
That's nuts, man. And they're bringing in like firefighters from all over the world to come help fight it too.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man. You got to see that map though. Like the smoke, it's just going from Ontario, Quebec, and it's literally touching the tip of Portugal. It's just stretched the entire Atlantic.
That's crazy.
You know what we need? We need a Jamie here, just like Joe. You know how Joe Rogan has a Jamie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We just,
just to
put up the graphic for us.
You know what? I'll throw the graphic up for the video. I'll put that up there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But man, speaking of the Atlantic, Oceangate Titan.
Oceangate
Titan.
So it's pretty understood now that this should have never been a story. Like, the U.S. Navy knew what happened on the Sunday, the day of.
Yeah.
Like, which is mind-boggling. Like, I saw it for a couple of days. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but you couldn't escape it. It was everywhere. Like, the whole world was fascinated by this. Obviously, personally, I think it was a distraction from Joe Biden, but, that's another story. Yeah, so everybody's so fascinated by this happening, and I guess, some of it's like, you feel like, it becomes like a rescue mission, right? So what we found out at the end of it was, like, with the technology the U.S. Navy has, like, you'd think they could hear a pin drop from thousands of miles away. So it's not surprising that they knew what happened right away.
The thing that really kind of creeped me out about the entire thing was they said that the sub imploded on the Sunday. So basically when
like
they launched,
2 hours in.
Like 2 hours in
Yeah.
and crunch bang done.
Yeah.
Right? But they kept detecting this sound in regular intervals for the next 2-3 days. And they kept thinking that was the sub. Right? But if they're saying that, listen, this happened on Sunday, then what the heck was that noise that they kept hearing?
Guys, the U.S. Navy spends how many trillions of dollars, like, on their military, on our tech? Like, there's no way I'm gonna buy that they detected something and it was unknown and it went on for days and they don't have an explanation.
I don't think this was the Navy that was saying it. This is just people that were in the area trying to help find it. Like, they were finding it.
That could be anything, right? Like, that could, there's so many. If you actually listen to the ocean, like, I saw some guys talking about this, that there's so many noises and sounds down there. Like, it's hard to attribute it to anything if you're looking for it.
Yeah, but
right?
I think with the sound that I was reading that was kind of weird was that the intervals of the sound was almost like precise.
So what did
like
they,
it was
what
every
did they,
like it was every 30 minutes, like they were hearing this thing.
So what did they attribute it to?
They don't know, or they're not saying.
Surprise.
Right?
For me, like, with all the information that we have now, it definitely feels like, okay, they had the information they needed on Sunday, what had happened, and they're just dragging it along to make it a story to distract the whole world from anything else that's happening.
Yeah,
all around.
I'm telling you right now, that same day was when the Hunter Biden stuff happened with his, the stuff in the courts, and I think they charged him with, basically misdemeanors with the legal things he's been doing. So in my opinion, they obviously let this story run so it could distract from that.
But I also think it's like the fantasy side of it, where it's just this independent company who just put this Home Depot built submarine together, got a bunch of billionaires in there, and just went missing trying to find the Titan. What is up with Titanic? Every decade, at least once, something just it just pops up again with that thing.
Like, why is there this urge to see the Titanic? Like, is it just we fantasized it so much? Like, you want to like, of all the things you could explore, like, you want to go see the Titanic.
Like if you're treasure hunting, that's another thing,
Yeah.
right? But if you're just going, it's 2 hours down, 4 hours around, and 2 hours back up, right? The average trip of these like submarine trips down to the Titanic. If you're not going down there with a submarine that's got arms that you're gonna pick something out of that thing, and you're just going around to look at it, my buddy, I don't care how much, $250,000 just to do that, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like I get this whole extreme tourism thing that people do,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, the people who go to Chernobyl,
Yeah.
right? The ones who do like the death road in Bolivia.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? Like the cave diving in
The
Mexico.
cave diving, yeah.
That cool, but like just going down to the Titanic just to look at it.
I think the lure, like, yeah, like the lure to do these things, I totally understand, right? Like as an adventurer, as, you know, a thrill seeker, that I totally get. But just this fascination, like the Titanic, you know, what don't we know about it? Like, what more is there to see or discover? Like, it's been down there for over 100 years. Like, you know, I guess when you have that much money,
But
I think that's part of it, right? You have that much money.
So the way that this was done, like this should have never happened. First, how they built it,
That was a joke. Yeah,
There's
this whole
so many
story.
red flags. And then you're hiring engineers, and your engineers are saying like, "Hey, like we gotta test this thing."
They literally
Right?
fired the guy that said
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you're not doing like consistent runs down just by itself. Maybe you just control it, right? Do like at least do more than 1 or 2 tests.
Didn't
Like-
the CEO get like a door handle from Home Depot to put inside?
Yeah,
to, like,
I think I don't know if it was BBC or
it must have been 60 minutes, I think.
was it 60 Minutes? Yeah,
think
someone
so.
did a documentary, like a clip on that, and yeah, he laughed about it. He was like, "Yeah, this is you can get this at Home Depot."
He was saying how like, you know, they cut corners, they never like, you know, they did things that no one like, you know, has done, right? That they were told not to do, right? And also you're using a $30 Logitech controller to control the whole thing. So
It's crazy, man. And for this guy to be like, hey, I built this thing, but I can't operate it unless I charge $250,000 a head
Yeah,
to do it. Like,
that's insane.
I don't even think $250,000 is what the cost of the submarine was.
No way.
yeah,
If that's-
No way.
But even, man, like to go at that depth and the pressures that you have to deal with when you're down there.
Yeah,
Right?
you're done in an instant.
It-
And that pressure,
If you implode, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's just like you don't even know what happened. You're gone, right? Like
Yeah.
condolences to, you know, the families and everybody. But
Yeah, now you got these families who
know?
have to deal with this unnecessarily.
yeah, and I think, you know, you could put blame on not just, you know, the company. What was it? Oceangate.
Oceangate.
Yeah, Oceangate. And, you know, but I think some of it goes also to, you know, the people that chose to go down there. Like, they obviously were signing these contracts. Like, some of the people that went previously were talking about, you know, it was basically signing a death contract.
Yeah, it's like what
Right.
a 2-page waiver and death is mentioned like 11 times.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy what people are willing to do. And that, you know, I think that's,
And what do you get out of it? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not one of those people that, like, you know, want to jump out of a plane, that wants to, you know, go
like,
down
I
the
get it.
ocean.
I do get part of it, like thrill seeking, you know, discovering the unknown. But like, is the Titanic an unknown? Like, I just don't get the Titanic aspect of it. Like, let's say they were going somewhere else, you know, it was the Mariana Trench, and, you know, who just did that? James Cameron, right?
Cameron did it with what was it called again? Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the thing.
But he's been down now a couple times,
Yeah.
right? Something like that, I get it, right? Like, we have no information. Only a few people in the history of human species have been down there. So, like, I get that aspect totally. But, you know, I guess each to their, like, you know, each person has their idea of what's thrilling and what's
Yeah.
they want to see.
But like, even if you're like a Titanic enthusiast, I don't think Titanic enthusiasts have $250,000
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
But
go down.
that's the money aspect, right? When you have a lot of money to throw around, right? You kind of eventually start running
You're
out of
looking
things
for
to
things
do.
that you can say that
Yeah.
I'm the only one that did this, or I'm one,
Yeah.
or one of like 100 people or less than 100 people. That
Well, I
have
guess
ever done
that's
this,
with
right?
the space tourism now, right? Like people going up into space for what, like a half an hour, whatever it is, an hour up there.
Yeah.
I also think this comes back to like, do we agree that we want to have more private companies endeavoring to do these things? For instance, building rockets, building submarines, building planes, because there's inherent risk in these endeavors. And in the past, we've always left it up to government, and the government's always had a tight, knit grasp on, for instance, NASA, space travel's always been government funded, right? So now there's Elon Musk who's doing his own thing. It's been privatized. Like, what do you guys feel about, like, I think you're going to have situations like Oceangate naturally if you allow citizens to, create companies to do these things.
So I don't mind like private companies doing things for exploration, but it's one thing to like, okay, you want to explore the sea, you create these things. I don't care if it's a $5 sub that you create, right? Send it down there, but don't send it down there with people, right? Like, put in the effort and time to build something. If it's going to be piloted by somebody, then, you do rigorous tests. And if it's something you're just sending down there and, testing the waters, controlling it just to search, then I don't really mind that, right? But when something like Oceangate, I think should never happen.
But the gray area now is because you're operating in international waters, there's no law.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was
so you can do whatever the hell you want out there. You can take monkeys out onto a boat and have them fight for 3 hours, and it's perfectly fine. Right?
Yeah,
Simpsons reference, by the way.
I think, but that's the inherent risk I'm talking about, right? Like, okay, Elon's trying to get to Mars. Let's say, we're 20 years down the road and, they're sending their first ship to Mars. There is inherent risk, no matter how many checks and bounds you check off. Like,
I don't know about the risk. The risk is basically you're going up there and you're not coming back.
But even to Champ's point about like the government having their hand in it, it still happens. Like Colombia blew up.
No, but so that's
right. Like something of happening is always there. But I think what they can do is like, look, if you're going to be operating in our country, building your rocket here, here's what you gotta have to follow. But once you're up there, it's out of our hands. It's all on you now.
Yeah, I think,
right?
To Jag's point, when he's talking about like Oceangate shouldn't have happened, I think like, we could have strict guidelines on to kind of control what we think of as safety, right? Which you kind of have to balance out with what you allow, entrepreneurs and people to kind of push the limits, because, you kind of need a little bit of both to, kind of have a breakthrough.
You don't want the government to control everything. And this is not one of those things like, oh, don't trust the government or whatever, right? It's just like how we say for business, right? More competition, the better, right? You innovate, right? And then if you're not putting anyone in danger and you have the resources to build something and to explore, I'm all for it, especially when there's more information, more pictures, more everything out there for all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas for government, depending, they'll control that information. Right. Like sometimes you can't trust everything. Right.
I'd rather trust the billionaires doing this because they actually have an image that they got to keep. They don't want to be known for sending somebody up into a spaceship and killing 33 people.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Where the government, something goes wrong, it's just like, hey, it happens.
Yeah.
There's no accountability there. Right. Where the billionaires are like, we have this image, we got this company. If this goes wrong, I'm done.
Yep.
Right. Because if SpaceX,
they lose their trust, they lose everything. They lose
if
business.
SpaceX fails, I don't think Elon can recover. Even though he's got Tesla, he's got the Twitter thing. But if this SpaceX thing just goes south, that's a big problem for him. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's unfortunate. But like you said, I mean, it could go both ways. Yes, you need government interventions to kind of keep everything in control, checks and balances.
Yeah, maybe the checks and balances, right?
But privately, you're forcing innovation. You're forcing better means of doing things. More safety comes out of it, right? So it's kind of I don't even know like how to say it. Like you have to find like that harmony in between the two.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, like just for the Titanic thing, I think people just gotta let it go. Right? There was a conspiracy that I never knew about before, where they're saying that it was planned. It wasn't the iceberg that sunk the ship. It was actually like
It was an insurance thing.
it wasn't even an insurance thing. They were
What
saying
is this? The
how-
Titanic rabbit hole?
No.
I don't know. I want to know more about this because I don't know anything about the Titanic.
I remember hearing something about like it was just an insurance thing by the company that built the ship.
Okay, so there's that one, and then there's another one where there was like 3 people on board, a part of the government, that they were like voting a certain way or changing things, right?
While it was being built?
And then it didn't have to do with that. It was like a different issue, right? And then
That's
because they were on that boat, like, you know.
So they just want to take them out, but you have
take them
collateral
out, yeah.
damage. Okay.
But I didn't get too much down because I'm one of those people. I'm just like, we gotta let that go. Whatever happened, but at the end of the day, we gotta like just let it go. It's at the bottom of the ocean. Just let it go.
You know who let go? Jack. All right, let me tell you something about this. All right, Rose, she's a sociopath, right? Because she basically lied the entire movie.
Yeah. I think I remember you telling me this.
So the whole story of that movie was told through her perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking her word for it that this is how everything went down. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
Right? There was enough room on that door for both of them. Straight goods.
Yeah, that was confirmed, right?
Right?
Like, at least from the film point of view. Yeah, they
Right?
both could have been on there.
And the fact that she lied for this entire trip, she took this poor research crew out to the middle of the goddamn Atlantic, fully knowing that she still had possession of that stupid stone, just to toss it into the ocean after. That's not symbolic. That's the calling cards of a sociopath.
Yeah, no, I can see
Right?
that point.
Was her fiance really a bad guy?
I never thought of it like that,
Right?
but now when you're saying it,
Right? Was
Yeah,
her
I
fiance
tend to
really a
agree.
bad guy? Probably not, but she needed to make a bad guy for her to justify having an affair with Jack.
Yeah, when you think about it, the entire recollection literally just comes from her,
Yeah.
right? So literally anything could just be made up.
Imagine being like, if this was real, like imagine being a researcher on that boat and then you've listened to this old lady talk for 4 days about whatever her experience was on the Titanic, just for her to chuck what you're looking for into the ocean.
And it's a personal story, right? So you can't even, because there was other survivors, you can't even kind of outright come and say she's lying or, that's not true, because it is kind of her own personal story, recollection. Those other people aren't involved in the story. So it's kind of even hard to deny anything of it.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's okay. I'm just saying, in general, she's mental. Like, she's completely psychotic.
Let us know what you guys think about the Titanic.
Yeah,
I'd love to-
one,
I'd love
is she
to
a
hear it.
sociopath? 2, was there enough room on the door for Jack to get up on? Right? Because she screwed him big time.
yeah. And which conspiracy theory is real?
Yeah. Which one's real? Is it the
Yeah,
insurance or the
I
politics?
love a conspiracy theory. So if you guys know some about the Titanic, put them in the comments. I'd love to find out, and maybe we can cover one.
Oh my God! Speaking
Whoa. No, not cover one. Read it and then let it go.
yeah,
We'll
read
see
it
where that
and let
goes.
it go. That's nuts, man. And then speaking of conspiracies, I don't want to get too deep into this, but I was reading something today about like we're talking about the wildfires earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm reading that there's a group, not even a group, like there's a bunch of people out there who are saying that the wildfires were set deliberately because now the government wants to do climate lockdowns. Right? Here's my beef with that conspiracy theory. Just like we were talking about earlier, how our air quality is worse than New Delhi's and Hong Kong's and Beijing's and all that. These cities have been dealing with this for like 40 plus years.
Yeah.
They haven't had any lockdown. So why the hell do we need a lockdown now? Because
That'd be the first argument,
Right.
You hit the nail on the head. So if, let's say that was attempted, or if it was some conspiracy, that'd be the first argument,
yeah. But I just couldn't believe it. Like we're just getting conspiracies for everything now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw another one today with, I don't know if you guys saw that there was the first few cases of malaria in Florida and Texas.
No, I didn't know about that one.
So these are the first cases since I want to say 2023. Oh, sorry, 2003. So from 2003 to 2023, there was 0. And these are the first cases in 20 years. And there may be a connection to Bill Gates.
What?
Yeah, so I'll just leave that there. And, maybe we'll come back on that one. But I just saw that coming in just a few hours ago. So
Honestly, man, I am not touching that Bill Gates stuff anytime soon. But I am going to look into this, though. That's the first time
let's see where it goes. I just saw that coming in a couple hours ago. I haven't looked into it. I haven't connected any dots, but a few people have, and I'm just putting it out there. You might hear more
You know what
down the road.
You know what I picture when he's talking like this? Do you guys ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
When Charlie's in front of the big board, just like with the string and connecting everything.
That's right now.
Yeah,
I love that.
that's what that is. Then there was the one, I think a couple of weeks ago here, the Peel region flipped out because some kid got measles.
Yeah,
And-
that was like almost a month ago now.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, this kid went to this Walmart, he went to this
Yeah.
library, whatever.
But
you
that
know?
got shut down pretty fast. I didn't hear anything after that.
Yeah. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but apparently it was.
Yeah.
No,
Well, this
Everything's
malaria
a big deal
thing,
these days.
this malaria thing can get really big because
malaria's a
just-
problem.
yeah, if it's not treated
Mhm.
right, you can literally die from it. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. We'll see where it goes. Maybe we'll touch back on that in a couple.
You said
weeks.
this was Florida?
Florida and Texas.
Florida and Texas?
Yeah.
Florida seems to be the epicenter of a lot of this stuff. Remember that when people were like eating bath salts and turning into zombies? And then there was that guy in Florida who like beat up some homeless guy and ate his face.
No, I believe it. It's Florida. I believe it. So for some reason, it's the
Yeah,
craziest
all the-
headlines come out of Florida.
Yeah. All those headlines are always from Florida.
Yeah, was it Florida Man, that Twitter account?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that still around?
I think so, man. Check
Florida
out Florida
Man.
Man on Twitter. That's some wild stories coming out of Florida.
Yeah.
Man, there was a video from Florida a few years ago. This alligator shows up on Buddy's driveway, right? And then he takes like the recycle bin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Basically shimmies the alligator into the recycle bin.
Oh, I've seen that.
You saw that, right? I think it was like
What's the idea here? What's he trying to do?
he was just trying to trap it in
Yeah,
the bin so he can
get it
roll
in
it back out to like the marsh or whatever. So this guy literally he shimmies the thing into the bin, shuts the lid, rolls it down the street, across the street, back to the marsh, and just like lets it go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't believe he actually got away with that without, like it not working out. I thought there was a bad ending coming.
It could have gotten really bad, but I think the way the guy did it, like he went the
It was
alligator
so perfect.
Yeah, like the alligator
just so
went head
perfect,
first
yeah.
into the bin.
Probably wouldn't recommend that to the next person who has to deal with an alligator on their property.
Well, I mean, it's Florida. Alligators
Yeah,
are everywhere. You
they're
can't
used
stop
to
it.
it.
Yeah, it's like raccoons here.
Yeah, but I'm probably not recommending the first thing you do is try to get it in your garbage bin.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
But this guy probably felt comfortable enough because he sees them all the time that he kind of figured, I know what to do,
Yeah, good point.
right? But still, man.
Extreme confidence.
Yeah, alligators. They're like what? They've been around since the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Alligators and crocodiles. They've been around since the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think.
It's
Sharks
pretty wild,
too. I
right?
think
Sharks,
sharks,
yeah,
crocodiles, alligators.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Even no, we're talking about dinosaurs. So I'm thinking like just prehistoric times, because there's a lot of animals that are just descendants of those animals, like saber-toothed tigers, right? Mammoths, elephants,
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
well, birds are basically
ox and
direct
bisons.
descendants of dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think birds are the direct ascendants that are left.
All right.
Uh,
That's something I want to ask you guys then. How do you feel about these companies that are trying to resurrect extinct species? Like there's that lab out in Siberia that's trying to bring mammoth back. Have you heard like how they're doing it?
How are they doing it?
Okay, so
fill in the audience because I have an idea, but
there's like this big chunk of land up in Siberia that they're changing they're changing the landscape to make it very familiar to how it was like when the mammoth was walking around, right? So what they're doing is like they want to reintroduce the mammoth into familiar, like a familiar setting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, I guess, culture shocked or whatever, like what the hell's going on, right? So how they're doing this is they're finding these fully intact mammoth carcass in like the frozen not tundra. What is it? The permafrost is basically melting and it's exposing all these mammoths, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're finding bits and pieces of DNA from these mammoths. So they're trying to find enough where they're basically going to Jurassic Park this thing. So they're taking DNA from like, I think, African elephants.
Yeah, African elephants.
Yeah. So was it African or the Indian elephant? One of them, whatever it is, right?
I think it was the African elephant.
Yeah. So they're gonna Jurassic Park this DNA together with the mammoth DNA, bring it back, reintroduce it back into Siberia.
Okay.
Here, okay. If a species is extinct, it's extinct for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No matter what the situation might have been, if it got just hunted into extinction, or if an asteroid came and took it out, or if it just, for some reason, nature just decided it's not your time anymore. I don't think it's cool to bring it back because that could have a really lopsided effect.
Yeah, on the
something that you weren't expecting. Pretty much Jurassic Park. Like we could have a Jurassic Park situation on our hands.
Yeah, if you think about it, the last Jurassic Park, right? That's kind of what happened, right? It's interesting. So I just wanted to. So there's actually two. There's also something called artificial insemination, which is basically what they would do is they could take an elephant egg and use basically, a frozen mammoth and kind of make a hybrid, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably more feasible because they haven't been able to put a genome together from the carcasses they found. It's an interesting question. I think I agree with you. I would say the moral approach to it would be to leave it alone. Like you said, something had its time for, even if let's say we took the tiger out tomorrow and, caused it to be extinct, or like, the polar bears. No matter the cause, I think it's safe to say I would stay away from reintroducing any species into an environment after they've been gone for a very long time. Like you said, you don't know how that's going to impact the environment. You don't know how that's going to impact the food chain. Like there are so many unknowns.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool, right? So the first thing when you think of this stuff is like, because I think just as a human, like we want to see these things that we haven't been able to see before. That's the whole point of like Jurassic Park, right? Like, why are you building this? Why are you bringing them back? Because you want to build a park. People want to see this stuff, right? So I feel like them doing this is not for one of those things where it's like, oh, they deserve to live, this, that, right? It's more of like, we want to show it off. But then
it gets to the ethical side, right?
Yeah,
I think it is cool. I think you're right.
Yeah, so I'm not denying that it's not cool.
I 100% think it's like playing God, right? But then, so when I think of the pros and cons, I'm just like, okay, yeah, they shouldn't be doing it. But I'm like, then if they do somehow perfect this and get it right, what else can they do? Right?
Yeah.
Like, you're creating this, from scratch now, like, can cloning come out of it, or can other things come
I think
out
it's
of
a
it?
natural
Right?
I think it's a natural evolution of the process of cloning and of technology, of where we're going.
And then my other point would be is, if you're taking live animals and then trying to like inject DNA and do all this stuff and killing them and all that stuff, you stay away from that, right? But if you're doing it another way, which I don't know what other ways there is, like what are they doing with the DNA exactly, right? Like, or the eggs and stuff, right? Like if something they're trying to build from scratch, then I feel like it's more ethical than, taking livestock and then, trying to do the
there's gonna be
hybrid
shades of
method.
gray, I think, no matter how you try to do this, right? And I think at the end of the day, it's just like human cloning, right? It's gonna become a moral question. Is this something we do? How do we, like, do they have rights? Does a clone have rights? Right? Like, it gets to this whole rabbit hole of how do we treat this thing that we're creating, right? Like you said, we are playing God. So, like, does it have the same rights as a human, right? Or is it just treated as an animal?
Because we're even at that point now where you're basically having like catalog babies.
Yeah.
Where like parents go in, they're like, oh, we want this, we want these eyes,
Pretty sure
we want
that's
this
just
hair,
how-
we want I think it's like, if you go back to Jurassic Park, like it's what Malcolm said, like they were so preoccupied with they didn't stop to think if they should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like I'm all for the advancement of this kind of tech and this science, because we can find applications for it to, I think.
Yeah, regenerative limbs, right? Someone lost an arm, someone lost a leg, there's so many things that, we can actually apply to, cures and,
But how you were just talking about cloning, that, I mean, people are doing that with their pets now.
Yeah.
Right? Like when their pet dies, they've saved their DNA and they've basically cloned their pet again.
Yeah.
Right? So you're keeping the same dog, but is it the same dog?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's weird. Like if you have a pet and it passes away, it sucks, right? But if you're just going to create it again, are you going to have the same attachment to it? Is it the same dog?
I don't think it's the same personally, because I don't think unless we tap into and figure out what is consciousness and how consciousness separates an individual being to make it who they are. And I'm pretty sure like that could be placed the same, like we don't know, like an animal, is the animals conscious? Like they're aware of their surroundings, right? Like unless we figure out consciousness, I think like you cloning someone back, they're not the same person.
No, there's no guarantee they're going to be the same person.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think, to your point, I think consciousness is, I think, unique to the vessel that's carrying it.
Yeah. And I don't think we've solved the brain and how it works enough to, like, you just say, tomorrow we popped open a clone of you two, like you guys are going to be exactly the same person.
Yeah, this ain't Star Wars. Right?
Yeah.
But just like I love how science is headed into like this direction with all this really cool stuff. But it also scares me as to what point do we just kind of pump the brakes, be like, all right, we can do it.
Yeah.
But do we really need to keep doing it? Let's move on to something else.
I think we're getting to that place in a lot of different fields, right? Like AI is getting there, right? We're starting to ask these moral questions of, okay, if we can do, how far do we push AI, right? And I think cloning is getting there now. Like in then partially, it's like it's a great thing, right? It's always good to push the boundaries and limits of what we can create and what we can come up with. But I think we're on this like slippery slope now, on the edge of these big breakthroughs that are going to carry big moral consequences that we have to figure out first.
Whether it's good or bad, this is what, like I always say, like it's like human nature, right? Like we're always going to continue to push the boundaries, and we're always going to keep trying to innovate, and in a good way that we're going to keep advancing, like our tech and but like our medicine, our tech. But yeah, it's I don't think there's ever going to be a right or wrong answer. It's going to be everyone's going to have their opinion on this, right?
Once it becomes for profit, like all these action movies have kind of shown us, that's when it kind of gets out of control.
But yeah,
Right.
there's always the profit motive, right? That's how these things start, I think.
I mean,
right?
we always
Without-
talk about Terminator could happen, but Resident Evil could happen too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, people
Yeah.
have bunkers built, right? That's why, like, everyone has their own, like, belief system. So people think, you know, oh, the world's gonna end. I have my bunker made. You know, the zombie apocalypse come. I'm safe. This,
Man.
that, right?
Those
Um,
doomsday preppers are awesome.
Yeah. So
Those guys have figured it out.
It's interesting, right? Like, let's say you have the zombie apocalypse. Like, everyone always believes, like, okay, we have this bunker. We're going to ride it out. Like, what, a couple months go by, you run out of supplies. Then who is making anything?
okay, first of all, they have
Like, where are you getting your
years
shit?
of supplies, right? And second of all, you're just trying to live, man.
Yeah, straight up.
You're just trying to all live.
I mean, The Walking Dead feels like it's been going on for 40 years.
Yeah, they need to.
When are those people just gonna end it?
They need to. That was a great series, guys. But they need to kind of end that now.
It's
on
gotta
a
Is it
side
still
note.
going?
It's got to end.
Dude, there's another spinoff coming.
There's multiple
No way.
spin-offs.
Yeah.
It's still going. So there's I don't know how not every character is dead yet. Honestly, once they like season 8 and 9, I was like, guys, like you have to get this to an end. Right? Like
I can't believe it hasn't ended. Like,
Because they have The Walking Dead still going on. Fear the Walking Dead is
Still, yeah.
going on. What is there another one that's running
There's
with
supposed-
it?
there's supposed
And-
to be another spin-off coming. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if there's a third one running, but I know there's another one coming. Forgot the name. But look, I signed off after season 8, I think. I can't even remember where I left off, but they need
Alright.
to end that show.
Now that we're talking about zombies, what do you think is the best movie, show, or game that's done zombies probably the best in your opinion?
Justice?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Like we can generalize what I mean by zombies. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be the undead. Just
Yeah.
anything that's just not
I-
human anymore.
I
but
personally, for me, like the original Resident Evil, the first 2, and it kind of just builds off that. They're not too different, but I think when it comes to zombie movies, like I just like Resident Evil are like cool, like they, it's like it's awesome. That's what zombies are. It's crazy. There's zombie dogs. There's some, there's like this big zombie boss at the end. Very simple, but entertaining, and I think I'll give it to Resident Evil.
I'm not sure. I gotta think about this.
I'll give you a second. I'll tell you mine. Shaun of the Dead.
I knew you were gonna go there.
Yeah,
I was
man.
thinking
Yeah.
someone. I thought one of you guys would say that.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
It's a great film for sure.
Yeah.
It's a great film.
The way that they balance the comedy, the horror, and like even the emotional side of it,
Yeah.
right? It was great.
I think if we were gonna make a top 3, that's probably gonna be on most people's number 1.
I know I Am Legend wasn't really zombies, but but the
No.
idea was kind of
I
there,
forgot about that.
right? Because that was more of like the virus or whatever.
But that
right?
film like makes you like watching that in theaters. I remember that film makes you feel alone.
Yeah,
Like that, I thought that film was so well done because there's nobody else, and just watching him trying to survive. He had a dog, no?
he had a dog to a certain point, and
To
that
a-
was one of
yeah.
the roughest scenes in the movie.
Yeah, and like I gotta say that it's in my top 3 for sure because I had totally forgot about it. But they did zombies very well. I know it was a mix of like what caused it, a virus, but man, you really felt like you were isolated and alone. Going back to like all these guys with bunkers, like you survive. This is what I'm talking about, right? You could be the 20 people that survive. That's the world you're coming back to.
Yeah. But the way that he carried that movie by himself, though,
Yeah.
that's tough, man. Because
Yeah.
he did it in I Am Legend. Hanks did it with Castaway.
Castaway. Yeah, those are
Right?
legendary performances.
And what was that really bad one that Will did with his kid?
Oh my God.
because it was just the two of them
Yeah. That
after
was,
Earth.
Yes.
That
After
one
Earth.
trash.
Yeah. He should have never made that.
I forgot
He should have
about that
never
movie.
made that
Yeah,
film.
have you seen it though?
Yeah.
After Earth was really bad.
Will, man, why'd you have to do the slap? Like, I can't even, like, you had these great films, and now I can't forget the slap.
That, you know what's unfortunate, I think that's going to be the first thing people are going to remember about him now.
Yeah, that's the first thing I
Unfortunately.
thought of right now. And like,
Unless he
there's
goes on a run where it's like 5 years, like, he has a bunch of movies and
he
He
got
need-
an award for King Richard.
He got the
Yeah, it's on
Oscar for
Netflix
that,
now.
right?
Yeah,
Was
I
it for
think so.
King Richard he got the Oscar for?
King Richard. So which one is the one where he's Serena and things?
that's
Yeah,
what
King-
it-
That's
King
the one.
Richard,
Yeah,
yeah.
he got an award for that.
Dude. It's just rewinding back in my head that entire night at the Oscars. Like, this guy slaps Chris Rock's face right off his head,
Yeah,
right? Wins an award and gets a standing ovation.
yeah.
yeah.
If I'm walking down Dundas and I slap somebody like that, I'm probably going to jail for like 3 months.
Yeah, we all know, like, obviously there's special
No,
circumstances.
I get it, right?
Yeah.
Like but it's the Hollywood complex, which is so strange. Like, nobody came to Rock's defense at that time right away. They're all going up to Will and asking him if he's okay.
Yeah.
It really shows like how dysfunctional Hollywood really is. Like, there's some dark things that probably will eventually come out of Hollywood. I think already some stuff's starting to come out, but like, that's a harsh place to be in Hollywood. And I think that reaction kind of sums up this, people don't even know like how to react or behave.
Just for a second, going all the way back to our beginning conversation where I was saying there was like this Titanic thing was a whole distraction.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something with Epstein? Like, there's something that released last week.
Oh,
Oh.
There was something. I'm just like, there were so many things that happened last week.
Yeah, there
the
was.
only
I can't-
the only thing I saw with Epstein was that some report came out that they said that the guards and stuff that were on duty were basically like they didn't do their job. That's why it was easier for him to kill himself.
No, so there was a
Kill himself.
No,
there was a
like, some
couple things.
documents that
So
released too.
yeah, so one was, one just came out a couple days ago, which was the guards actually just let him get a phone call the night of when he committed, quote unquote suicide. We all know he was killed, and he was allowed to make a phone call, and they said it was to his mother, who's been dead for years.
What? I didn't hear
Yeah,
this.
so this just came out. This
Mhm.
I just saw this, I think yesterday, and just a week ago it was the stuff with the banks. I think it was. I gotta check out which bank. I don't want to.
That's something that, check it out.
Because
I
that
would say.
the lawsuit with the because they were providing cover and basically financing for Epstein.
Mhm.
So that case was still going on.
Okay, that's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah.
I did not know about that one. What's going on with what's her face? Ghislaine. Is she still a thing? Is she still around? Did she kill herself yet?
I have no idea.
No, she's still hanging out in prison, I think. No.
She's still kicking it in prison for now. Yeah, man. Dude, wait. He called his mom?
Yeah. So this was basically there was.
That's their story, right? So
Yeah, so a report came out, and I think this was in the Washington Post and USA Today as well that they covered. It was blamed on, like, they're basically blaming it on a lot of chronic problems within the Bureau of Prisons. But, they're obviously looking for straw men here. And we all know he didn't kill himself. But, yeah, the way that he was treated, the things that he was allowed to do, make absolute no sense.
So, like, what? Like, were they just basically him giving like the El Chapo treatment, where he was getting whatever he wanted?
Maybe that's how they led him up to killing him.
So this, okay, Yes, and then this just gets even weirder and weirder because now, why would a guy who's basically still getting everything he wants want to kill himself in prison?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's other reasons as to why he would want to kill himself.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is going to be like one of these things that comes out where it's like, you know, they said that he was like mad depressed, but at the same time, you were giving him all these things.
It's one of those
right?
things where it's just like, when you think about it, there's too much damage that he could cause alive.
The fact
right?
that we still don't have the list and the names on the list says everything you need to know about this cover up.
Yeah.
What even was he? Like, I remember watching the documentary. Was it Dirty Money? Was it Dirty Money?
I have no idea. It was too long
The
ago.
Epstein one on Netflix?
Netflix one?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't recall the name.
Like, I watched it and I still couldn't understand what exactly it was that he did.
He just got to know the right people,
Yeah.
you know, got donations, you know, built, like gathered money, gathered influence. And I think in a lot of cases, I remember this was just a couple of days ago. I remember Alex Jones was just on PBD, and the guys were asking him about when he broke into that ceremony that they did in the 90s, or that they still do.
Oh, the Bilderberg group.
The Bilderberg group. And, you know, they did that whole ceremony. He broke in, and he was like, what they do is basically they're just getting blackmail on everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a way, like, I think that's what Epstein was doing. He's just getting blackmail material on.
Like, you know how they say, like, the list? Everyone that was on that list, he had something on them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
And he probably had like powerful people on that list. So having him get killed like that, probably not that hard.
Yeah, no. Like, this has done it before. I think nowadays, whoever the so-called, you know, we could say the shadow government, or we could say, you know, whoever it is, the military industrial complex, they're probably, the first thing they're probably not going to do is kill you, because that gives you more attention, and, you know, it gives more credence to whatever their cause was. But I think in this case, you know, he was convicted. He was, you know, trafficking minors. So, you know, no one's looking at him as a martyr.
He was going to go down and he was going to take everybody with him.
Yeah.
So they had to get in front of it.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. But dude, like the Bilderberg group, that just started bringing back a lot of things too. If you guys don't know about the Bilderberg group, go on, like, just do a YouTube search or a Google search on it, man. It is crazy. This is like the elites of the elites. They go up to this, it's in New York or Connecticut? Wherever it is. They go to like this compound out in the forest somewhere.
Oh, that's in California.
Is it California?
Yeah.
Okay, it's California. It's heads of state. It's heads of corporations.
Bohemian Grove, guys. That's what I was talking about. So, yeah.
Yeah, Bohemian Grove. And
Yeah.
Bilderberg is like the name of the group that goes there.
Yeah. So all the Skull and Bones guys, like all the rich, you know, he mentions there's just celebrities there, you know, princes from all over, like the who's who is there. So
it's a movie.
it is, yeah.
We're
so
living in a movie, man.
It's crazy that all these things now everybody talks about on their podcasts, and like it's so well known and just common knowledge. But just 5 years ago, you'd be like, "What are you talking about? That's a conspiracy theory."
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, even, do you remember that show back in the day, Jesse Ventura, Conspiracy Theory?
Yeah.
Yep.
So he used to have Alex Jones on there as like his
I
contact, and
remember.
they used to like meet up in like stairwells and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say 80% of the stuff that Alex Jones has probably said, it's either it's come out as true, or
Guys,
it's gonna be true.
I think he even said
But
this
he
on
really,
Alex.
before we continue on Alex Jones, he missed the mark on Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
And
That's the one thing he really he messed up on.
He messed up big time, so it's kind of it's really taken away. Like, they've had to literally destroy him and ban him from every platform.
But that's the
They've
problem.
literally removed all his content because of, it was a big mistake, and he's apologized numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like Sonny's saying, that okay, if honestly 70 to 80% of the stuff he said in the 90s to the early 2000s has hit the mark, and you can find numerous articles on anything he's talked about.
But see, all these people that are against him, right? That are, canceled him and all that. The problem is, because of the Sandy Hook thing, now no matter how many things he said right,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter no more. Right? Because everyone can just go to that one thing and say he's not credible. That's it.
Yeah, and he doubled down on Sandy Hook too, man.
But I think that's going away now. Like, I think we're in the age of media where, like, this type of media, podcasts, new alternative news, like, he's on a lot of shows now. Like, that's what I'm saying. Podcasts, all these, like, Joe Rogan is the number one that is talking about these things, who has Alex on. So if anything, he's more well known now than he ever was pre Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
So, like,
Sandy Hook
yes,
took
that was bad. It took a
Yeah.
lot. It took a lot away, but I think, again, it was one big mistake that he's obviously paying for, and that's something he's obviously apologized many times, but a lot of the stuff he said has literally come true. And a lot of podcasts I listen to nowadays, like, half the stuff they talk about, anytime it comes to politics, comes to Trump, it comes to, now look, all this UFO stuff, it comes to the science, vaccines, COVID, a lot of the stuff he said came true.
Yeah. But it's kind of fascinating to see, like, what this guy turned into from what he was on that Jesse Ventura show.
Yeah.
Right? Because when he was just like Jesse's contact in the stairwell, I didn't think much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then, like, the more and more this guy started getting exposed online, and, like, was InfoWars was his thing?
InfoWars.
Right? I'm like, this guy's actually kind of, he's cool, but he's also batshit crazy at the same time.
So you know what it was? I think Joe asked him on his show many years ago now, but I think the thing with Alex was he got too animated, and that was part of his shtick, I think, right?
Yep.
He became the gimmick.
Yeah,
Once you become a character, and
he became that character,
Yeah.
like you said, right? And the wealth of knowledge in his brain, and I feel like he's a human being that's functioning too fast. He has too much information. So, like, if you listen, he was just on PBD. If you listen to that interview, it's a very different Alex Jones from what I remember on InfoWars from 15 years ago.
He was unhinged on InfoWars.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest issue with him, that he would get so unhinged. But that was just, he was so animated, but it was also the entertainment factor. So I don't think he had a balance back then, and now I think he's obviously kind of reined that in.
Yeah. I think
It's also humbled him, like you guys said.
I
with
was
Sandy
just
Hook,
gonna
right?
say that worked against him, right? At the end, like, even the Sandy Hook thing, and then like you said, he doubled down on it. The reason it was so bad was how animated he was, how passionate he was, the way he yelled and screamed, right? It's not just saying it, right? But the way that he acted towards it, that's what really was the downfall.
Yeah, and he was like one of the only guys, or one of the first people to actually try to get to Epstein's island too, right?
Yeah, look, he
Like-
talked about Epstein 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, so just imagine if he
right.
didn't have the whole Sandy Hook fiasco.
Yeah.
How more seriously people would take the whole Epstein thing, because this guy was already, he knew
But
about it.
He knew, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Speaking of Rogan, what are you guys' thoughts on the RFK interview?
Oh, good reminder. Totally forgot. Yeah, that was a huge interview. I actually have not listened to Joe in over a year and a half. Not because I didn't want to. I just, I think after COVID, he kind of took a break. He had kind of, a lot of fighters on, a lot of comedians, and, it was just not something that I was following. But yeah, I was surprised to see JFK on there, especially because I've never heard Joe in the past, ever bring up JFK in like a real positive way. And it was actually really well done. I was so happy that he started the interview by acknowledging what he presumed about JFK and his idea of who JFK was. And I think that was a brilliant way to start the podcast and to again give JFK an opportunity to, you know, tell Joe, look, this is what I'm about. And obviously Joe had read his book that, you know, brought him on.
I honestly, up until like recently, had no idea about RFK that much, but he's been so in the news over the last like 4 or 5 months, right? And the more and more I listen to this guy, the more he's kind of hooking me in, right? Like the stuff that he's saying, especially like what's that company with like the pesticides and stuff, Monsanto or whatever he's talking about, whatever it is, the one that he's going after, like you know about it, but just like his knowledge of it is crazy, and like his knowledge of like the whole geopolitical landscape of it all.
Yeah, so he's
great. Yeah,
he's been after like Bill Gates. He's been after these corporations for quite some time. So I've been following him for at least 15 years, and it was actually really it's actually amazing to see that RFK is now getting this opportunity. He's still hardly getting any media coverage at this time. Like, I don't even think the Democrats know who their nominee is gonna be, and
he put his hat in the ring, right, for that.
Yeah, he's running.
But he's running.
Oh, he's running.
Yeah.
He's already he's running. I think he was on he was on another station the other day. So he is starting to get some traction now. And I think obviously the Joe Rogan interview was huge. You can say what you want. The critics are going to say what they want about the vaccines. When it comes to COVID, look, we were lied to as a fact. They were wrong. That's a fact. Fauci played everybody. That's a fact. You can look it up. Whatever, you know, it's 2020 now looking back, but many people called this out, and he was one of the first ones. Check out his book. Lots in there that he puts some great arguments together. But I think if the Democrats don't have a legitimate person running, like, I could see RFK actually winning.
But who can the Democrats actually put? I mean, let's keep it real here.
Michelle Obama.
I mean, Michelle Obama probably the only one who could probably do it.
I think that's their trump card.
Yeah, because Biden, let's be honest, isn't there
talks of him getting impeached? Or they're gonna try?
There's always impeachment for Democratic presidents.
I don't know if you guys been paying attention the last couple of days, but their press secretary got grilled on the Hunter Biden stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you guys probably saw that.
Was that the one where she stepped away?
Yeah, she stepped
did.
away.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a whole feeling out there now that the media's that mainstream media is turning on Biden. Mm-hmm. And I think Alex was talking about this the other day, that, you know, it could be a whole play now that they're, you know, they know Biden isn't going to be the next president. Yeah. So now they're trying to push him out. And now all this Hunter Biden stuff is slowly coming back to light, and they're actually starting to cover it. So,
you know what's hilarious about this entire situation with the Democrats is, you know, Biden's not going to make it, right? That second term isn't happening.
Yeah.
Where the heck is Kamala Harris in all this? She's the bloody vice president. You have not seen her in like 2.5 years. You haven't heard from her, nothing. And you figured if this is going to be the guy who has to step down, wouldn't she automatically be the one, like, here, we're propping her up?
I think
there's a reason for that. I don't think she's worthy. There's a reason she's been
She's
MIA.
just as bad as Biden is.
No, I know. I'm not saying she's great or anything, but I'm saying, like, this is how much of in shambles that this party is.
Yes.
For sure.
Right?
Yep.
Like, but to champ, Michelle Obama might be the savior for this party.
I didn't even thought of that, but yeah.
Like, I think that's their trump card.
I was in. Yeah.
Like, I can't think of anybody else.
They don't have anyone else. Poor Bernie. The last 2 times, as extreme as this guy is when it comes to like social policy, right?
Yeah, they really pushed him out.
They really screwed him.
They screwed him.
Right? So this guy, he needs to forget it. There's no point in him doing it.
I don't.
anymore.
He's not running this time, is he?
I don't think so,
Yeah,
man. I really hope he
It's
doesn't.
too late now.
It's too late. What is he?
too
He's
late.
like 80, right? He's like
Yeah.
Biden's age, isn't he?
It's too late.
Yeah, it's a wrap
But
for
all
him.
these guys are up there. Like even Trump's up there, right? RFK's up there.
Trump is gonna win that Republican nomination again, and it is gonna be hilarious.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be a landslide.
It is gonna
Telling
be
you right
so
now, it's
funny.
gonna be a
No
landslide.
matter how much of his base has regressed, he still has more support than
His
anybody else.
popularity
Yeah.
only goes up every time he gets charged. I don't know if you guys seen some the polls,
You know what?
but they have numbers where every time he's indicted, his numbers go up in popularity.
That's what I was gonna say. Anything that happens to him, his numbers are just gonna go higher and higher. And anything that the government, anything bad that happens, Trump's stock just goes higher.
If you're the Republicans and you're sitting there and you're seeing this happen, you don't want anything to do with this guy anymore.
no.
right? So if you're Trump, you run as an independent, right?
I think it's hard to run with. The problem is winning as an independent is very difficult.
But if you have
And
the support that he does,
No, I hear you, but I think like just in general, a lot of people that don't know what's going on, who just, blindly vote Republican or Democrat,
right?
right? You'll
Yeah.
lose those votes.
But even like the people who vote Republican, they're fully aware of who Trump is.
Yeah.
And if they voted for him the last time, they'll do it again.
I hear you. I think it's
I'm
it's
honest-
a tougher road.
Yeah, I am excited, man.
It's amazing. It's crazy that we have two guys going against the establishment in Trump and RFK at the same time,
Yeah.
in the same presidential race.
But on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah. So this is going to, I think it's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. Oh, speaking of bloodbaths, who wins in a fight? Elon or Zuckerberg? Because apparently this is turning into a thing.
Unfortunately,
Why is
I
this
have
turning
to
into
say
a thing?
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg's a beast, bro.
I have to go with him. you
Yeah,
know?
man.
He has
Okay,
a jiu-jitsu and he's younger, so
I'll take your guys' word for it because I don't know. But like I just don't understand why this is a thing. Like everybody just wants to fight now. You have a few dollars, either you're a YouTube celebrity, you're a billionaire, you wanna just your next fight. It's just and boxing and MMA is just literally gonna become celebrity boxing.
I'll tell you what, man. I would pay anything to watch billionaires fight in the octagon. Because that's what
But what are
Elon
you
said. He wants to
watching?
fight in the octagon, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to like box or anything. They don't want MMA.
Well, you're gonna just see guys rolling around, no skill. One guy might get
You
a
know
lucky
what?
punch.
There
Have you seen
is-
Zuckerberg?
Yeah, but so okay,
He's legit.
he's legit.
guys, this is the whole Jake Paul like.
No,
we're
no, no,
back
No,
at
no, no.
it.
He's
Zuckerberg's
actually
legit.
going in tournaments
Yeah.
and like doing things.
Yeah, but it's the same road all these YouTubers are taking. How's Jake
No,
Paul?
but YouTube boxing, we know what that is.
Yeah.
Guys, this is
Right?
gonna be no different.
Okay, even if it's no different, it's entertainment. We know what real MMA is. We know what real boxing
But
is.
don't get
This is something
distracted by
entirely
this
different.
stuff.
No,
Like,
no,
this
but
is
this
a
is something
distraction,
entirely
man.
It's
different.
entertainment.
Just for
Champ.
entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sad
champ.
entertainment,
Just like you're
man.
watching a TV show. You're watching a TV show, you're watching
Okay,
a
but-
movie. This is entertainment.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here, pay money to watch the best in the world fight, and then I'm gonna be like, you know what? Let me take some of my valuable time and watch these B, C, S, Z tier fighters fight because it's
Okay.
entertaining.
But see, that's the problem. You're already lumping this in as actual sport,
you can't
which
do
you
that.
shouldn't, right? Because
Okay.
you need to have that disconnect. And I think us as sports guys, it's easier for us to have that disconnect between the two. When I'm watching KSI box, I'm not watching, Zab
looking for
Judah and
technique
Floyd
and all this
Mayweather,
stuff, yeah.
like whatever. I know what I'm watching when I watch KSI.
Yeah.
But when I'm watching Canelo, I know what I'm watching when I'm watching Canelo.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like when we watch WWE and AEW. We know what we're watching. We can disconnect between, like an actual octagon fight and what these guys are doing in
Tell
a
me
ladder
a
match.
childhood hero of yours.
Childhood hero.
Or someone you looked up to, other than The Rock.
Shout out to The Rock. Yeah, it was a lot of wrestlers, athletes.
Just name one person. Name an
I don't
athlete.
know. Okay, let's say, I grew up watching the Toronto Maple Leafs, so Dougie Gilmour or Matt Sundin.
Okay, so Matt Sundin is gonna go fight like a rival team, like Ottawa Senators, so like Alfredson or something, right? You wouldn't want to watch that?
Sundin versus Alfredson in a boxing
Tell
match?
me you wouldn't want to watch that.
Guy.
All right, guys, you guys sold me. All right, I'm on board.
Right?
All right, I'm on board.
But that's the thing. Like we understand what it is that's in front of us. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with hockey. We know that's not going to decide who's the better hockey player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still want to see it.
But I really hope that this Elon and Zuckerberg fight happens, man.
Yeah. No.
From what I've seen, like I've stayed away from it a bit, but from what I've read, it does sound like it's picking up steam.
To be honest, it's a lose-lose for... Like, Elon has nothing to gain from it.
Yeah.
He should not be doing this.
You know what this reminds me of? Did you guys watch Friends?
Are you talking about what's
Monica's boyfriend, the millionaire who wanted to be the UFC?
But he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It was his dream.
That's what Elon is. Okay, Elon's the millionaire boyfriend from Friends. He's Lex Luthor. What else is this guy going to turn into?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with Jag, though. That's like, if you're on the losing end of that, it's kind of a lose-lose situation.
But he was the first one to instigate it.
Yeah.
Right? He even said it. He's like, let's fight in the octagon.
Come on, these guys are smart. They know how to stay on front of the news cycle. They know how to get themselves out there. So that's part of it as well.
Let's make it happen, though, man. Elon, Mark.
My money's on Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Elon, and I'm not a fan of Zuckerberg.
So you guys are telling me the opening line will be a big favorite. So Zuckerberg's a big favorite.
He's the favorite, 100%.
Big time.
Okay.
Big time favorite.
All right.
Who's on the undercard? Bezos versus Goodell.
No. You know what? You got to get Batman in there.
Batman versus Manfred.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people in this country who'd like to see him lose.
Oh, the draft's happening today, isn't it?
It's been way underway. I think it's already 2 hours in.
Oh,
I
man.
think the first round's probably done.
Bedard Mania has finally,
Bedard. It's funny, right? Like these franchises, like the Chicago Blackhawks. I just can't believe they got the number 1 pick. Like, how lucky do you have to be to have Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and then when their reign is done, a couple years later, you get Bedard.
Start of another.
Yeah, but that's
insane.
But that was also Edmonton in the 2000s and 2010s. Lottery pick after lottery pick after lottery.
But the difference is the Blackhawks won Stanley Cups. They had a winning season after winning season, finishing in the top of the league every single year for
real contenders every year.
Real contenders for almost a decade. And boom. After your let's say run is coming to an end, you draft the best prospect since McDavid.
But their run's been done for a while though.
Well, how long has it been?
Because they went all in and it just blew up after that, right?
Yeah.
But it's been 5 years?
Yeah, but if you suck, you suck. Like even if you win a cup and you've sucked for 3 years, but you've been bottom of the barrel for those 3 years, are you gonna get mad at like finishing dead last and not getting a first overall pick?
I think there's
it's not that it's just the first overall pick. It's Bedard.
It's the type of
it's
like let's say it's not Bedard, it's McDavid, right?
Yeah,
let's say you're a dynasty, and then let's say you're the Patriots, right? Tom Brady ends, and now you get Mahomes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Like 5 years go by,
it's like,
and your next draft pick is Mahomes.
Like, it's like you suck for a couple of years, and now you get Mahomes. It's just like, okay.
But I'd rather I don't hate him going to Chicago. I'd rather see him there than like in Anaheim.
100%.
Yeah.
I like Chicago. I was a fan of their team. I love that.
It's
Taves,
original
Kane,
six.
Yeah.
I got nothing against that. I mean,
You know what? Fair
No,
enough. Like it's better to see him in a bigger market than to be lost on the West Coast.
Yeah, I don't want him on a team that like no one follows, no
Yeah.
one cares about. They're not making the playoffs, you know?
yeah, and it's Anaheim, man. They're so boring. Like Anaheim? Well, they got that one kid. What's his name? Zegras.
Zegras.
Zegras is fun to watch.
Yeah.
But outside of that, this is the second time Anaheim has gotten screwed over a generational talent, eh? Do you remember the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes?
Sidney Crosby, yeah. That was
Right?
the last one.
But I think at that point, did Anaheim win cups after Sid? They did, because that was the
Yeah, it
Getzlaff,
was after,
Perry
yeah.
teams, right? So they got their cups. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Why are you gonna still cry about Sid? Because Brian Burke was the GM of Anaheim at the time, right?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, because they always ask him like, oh, how do you feel about Pittsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
having this success or whatever? He's like, they didn't have no success, man. They won a lottery,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's what you wanted for your team,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you wanted as well.
right? You wouldn't be saying that if you were the one that got Sid.
Yeah, that's sour grapes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
that's
a sour
that's
grapes.
Burke though.
Yeah.
Burke's like that.
It's honest. I get it at the same time. But, like
Yeah.
you said, he wanted the same thing. So,
Yeah, but that's sports, man. It's full of hypocrisy. Who cares? It is what it is. Something happens to my team, I love it, but the same thing happens to another team, I hate it.
yeah. Yeah, that's part of being a fan.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like what's happening with like the transfer window in soccer right now.
What's going on?
So Declan Rice has just become the most expensive English player of all time.
Don't tell me the Saudis signed him.
No, Arsenal signed him.
How much they pay?
So Arsenal signed him 100 mil plus 5, so 105 million. Right?
Hefty ticket.
But all these other fans of other teams that were hoping to land him too,
Yeah.
right? Now he's overrated.
Yeah, now he's overpaid.
Now he sucks. Now he's overpaid. He's not
Yeah.
worth his value. He's gone. He's going to Arsenal to ruin his career. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it happens with sports so much.
Yeah.
When someone's a free agent, you want him, you pay anything to get him.
Yeah.
Once somebody else signs him and you lose him, it's the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all the
Like-
bad things come out.
It's like we dodged the bullet. No, we didn't even need him. It's
Yeah.
like-
But then if the guy ends up doing great, oh, he did great, but he's still not worth what you guys paid for
Yeah.
him. But
Still
come on,
overpaid.
man. Yeah, he's still
Oh,
overpaid.
did you guys win? Like, did you guys
Yeah.
win the championship?
Or like in soccer, because there's like 4 or 5 trophies you can win a year, right? They
Yeah.
win the one that's not worth the most. Oh, you guys spent 100 million to win this trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
that I've actually seen that happen quite a bit the last few years. So, yeah, that is that's a sports fan, to be honest. That's just how sports works.
Yeah,
As a fan, that's how you make yourself feel better, right?
exactly. Right? You got to tell yourself something,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you had your heart set on like getting somebody over like a couple of weeks, and you just keep reading on your feed, it's happening. And then it goes
that's
to
the
another team.
worst. Yeah, I've
Right.
seen that's happened with the Raptors a few times. Like, oh, this guy, they're talking to this guy, they're talking to this guy. Oh,
Just like I'll give it. You know Kevin Walls, right? He rides Mac Jones, right? Why does he ride him? Like he's this guy because he's stuck on his team
Yeah.
on the Patriots, right?
Gotta
And
do
when
it.
you have him, you gotta be like, yeah, we got this, right? Even though he knows that he's not it, but
You got to go down with the ship, man.
yeah.
Once
you're a
you
real
go all
fan.
in, yeah. Once you go all in, that's it, right? Or things gonna get you. What's freezing cold takes on Twitter? They'll nail you. That's another great account.
Yeah, checked. I actually started following that recently. That's a good one.
It's actually hilarious. That's great. All right, man. Episode 7. That was a good talk.
Yeah, let's start. Yeah, let's wrap this one up.
Yeah. So it was great being back for episode 7. Being off for a week. I think we're still in mid-season form. This is good, right? The world keeps feeding us content, which
the
is
world
great.
is literally in flames. I feel like sometimes with the topics that
There's too much.
the
going on.
things I read day to day, I'm just
Yeah.
like, what is happening?
Yeah,
Like either the world is ending or someone's getting just like there's topics right now I just thought of that we didn't even touch on that we'll save for another one.
All right. So let's tease the next episode, but I do want to touch on Graham Hancock and Flagrant.
Oh, I
So-
am halfway
So
into
get
that.
so get ready for that one next week. I think we'll talk heavy Graham Hancock.
Oh, that'd be a dream to have him on
Yeah.
the pod.
All right, man. Graham, if you're listening, bud, we
Big
We want-
fans
we
here
want
of
you to
your
come
work.
out, yeah.
Big fans of your work over here.
all right. Follow us on social, guys. We're doing our daily summer soundtrack. So we've wrapped up day 6 today.
Yeah,
So
definitely
we'll
check those out. We're dropping tracks every day.
Yeah, we're dropping tracks every day. Hope you're enjoying them. right? Whatever you're listening to, let us know. Tag us, let us know. Keep an eye for the next episode. Hopefully we'll have that up sooner rather than later. Apart from that, thanks again for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening wherever you are. Subscribe, like, share. All right, let's keep the belligerents going, man.
Peace out, guys.
All right, peace out, guys. Have a good one.